Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go! One of my co-hosts on the post-game show, the Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show, Ryan Hall, Halsey and Ballsy and Halsey, however you want to call it. So the commissioner, Stuart Johnston. Now, I haven't seen an official release from the league, but fans have been going through like the Grey Cup week and the different things and events, and they're curious by its absence is the fan address that the commissioner always gave. Like Randy Ambrosi, say what you want. I didn't like him as a commissioner. I actually didn't mind him as a person per se.
No, he's a good person,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and a former player, but I wasn't a huge fan as his commissionership went on, but he looks like the greatest thing since sliced bread compared to this guy, in my opinion. At least the other guy would come on and answer questions, and he, even if what he said was pablum and he did okay, whatever, at least he was there to take the answer or the questions. So this guy looks like he's not going to meet with the fans. That's not being a leader as far as I'm concerned.
I don't really get it. Like, I don't follow as close as you do, but The guy was a ghost for the first 3-4 months of his commissionership. Then all of a sudden he pops out of the netherworld to say all these changes they're going to make to the game, and he's gone. He vanishes again. Haven't seen him, haven't heard from him. No, like you said, no address to the fans of the Grey Cup. Like, people come to the Grey Cup because it's obviously the biggest event of Canadian professional football, and that's part of it. It's not just about the two teams in the game. It's about the league. It's about the trophy. It's about the history. And for the commissioner to basically give the fans a snub like that, I don't know. I mean, I was questioning the guy before. Now I'm really questioning him.
Now, once again, it hasn't been official from the league, so maybe there'll be something. Oh, no, it's going to happen. But listen, and he's probably, hopefully, still going to do his State of the Union address with the media, although we know nobody asks him any tough questions, so they'll just be softball questions. But that's my thing. If you're going to come, like you said, he was nowhere to be found. Then he's found. Then he wants to rush these changes, but now he won't talk about the changes. And if that's the case, he might say, "Here's what I'm already thinking ahead. Well, I don't want to overshadow the game." Well, if you didn't want to overshadow the game, then maybe you shouldn't have made the announcements till after in the off season or the proposed announcements. So to me, if you're gonna piss on the CFL's tradition and take some of that away, you should answer to the fans in one of your best franchise cities in Winnipeg.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's fans from all over the league. It's not just going to be the two teams. There's going to be the hometown Winnipeg, Manitoba folks. And then there's going to be the people from Hamilton and Toronto and Vancouver and Calgary that just love the CFL, and they go to the Grey Cup every year and they have a great time, and they want to be a part of that. And for the commissioner, not too impressive.
So we'll save the negativity for another time. Let's coming from me. Let's talk positivity and let's just talk about football. We'll get to Can West in a second, but since we started at the CFL, let us talk about the big match. Well, let's start out east. So I know you haven't been following it religiously the last couple of weeks. Davis Alexander is 12-0. I think in order to play this game, you have to have a little cockiness about you. You were cocky when you played. I was cocky when I played. You have to have that. You have to have that alpha dog mentality. And he does. And he's a great player, and they play different when he's behind center. Although I just feel, I know he beat the Bombers, and I'm a prisoner of the moment. I have a vested interest, but he seemed like a little bit like his attitude was why they need the benches separated in all stadiums, doing the money sign and kind of acting a little cocky. And then after the game saying they could have put 60 up on the Bombers. As you know, Ryan, this game can humble you pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, at the same time, when he gets into the next game against Hamilton, like all that stuff against Winnipeg, that has nothing to do with it. So, if it happened in that game, if all of a sudden Winnipeg, if they could have kept that crazy comeback they started in the third quarter there, they could have kept that going and beaten them. Then you can point the finger back and say, "Hey, where's your money now, bro?"
Yeah.
But they pulled it out, and they had that good win over Winnipeg. So I don't think it's too big of a deal. I mean, if he gets it going, he'll bring it back this weekend against Hamilton, and if it's a real tight game, or if they're losing, obviously he's just got to stick to playing and not putting on a show.
Well, it's interesting because it's in both games, it's old guy versus young guy. Like Bo Levi Mitchell's been cocky his whole career, and he's lived up to that cockiness with the resume. You know, here's a guy that was going to be on the bench in 2023, injury to Powell, and he comes off and maybe could have been the MOP last year, even though he's with the losing team. And then this year in the running along with Nathan Rourke. And then you got the young up-and-comer kind of Bo Levi-like with his mentality trying to knock off, the wily veteran. So that's a nice, interesting angle. I think Hamilton is a good team, but they're a little fraudulent. Like they have a losing record against teams that were, competitive, like playoff teams. So for that reason, I got Montreal winning this game. I just think Montreal's got their horses back. They got Davis Alexander, and I still think he's going to have that undefeated record at the end.
I haven't seen these teams since the summer, so
yeah.
I don't really have too much intelligence to say. But just based on what I did see in the first half of the season, I think Montreal was a little bit more consistently strong, like especially against the Riders, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Like they didn't look good the last time they played the Riders. So so I'd probably go with you with Montreal on that one.
So you're a little bit more of an expert when it comes to Rough Rider football because you watch much of that, helping me with the post game show. Really, this game is simple. As I talked to Bob Marjanovic, BC Lions play-by-play guy on the last installment, it's the trenches, right? That's what it is. You got to own the trenches. You got to make their quarterback uncomfortable, keep your quarterback as comfortable as you can. And really, Ryan, I think that's what this game comes down to. Yes, the Riders had 2 All-Stars in their secondary, Tavon Campbell, Roland Milligan Jr., 9 in total for the all CFLers. But the Riders secondary can be exposed if that D-line doesn't get home. So I think that's where the game is won and lost. Because if Nathan Rourke gets time, he's going to carve these guys.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing for Saskatchewan is they've got a ton of guys back from injury, like having those couple of games at the end of the season where they could rest some guys, and then having the bye last weekend really helped them health-wise. Looking at their injury report, it's all, all these guys that were on the report, it's full participation, so that's good. But yeah, definitely, the other big factor in any football game, well, the 3 big factors, the offensive line, turnovers, and penalties. Like those are always the 3 things that are really make or break things in a football game. So yeah, it's the defensive line for Saskatchewan. The pass rush has really helped the secondary. I think the secondary's improved over the season. Like the first half of the season, how critical I was of the way they were playing and stuff like that. But I think they've kind of tightened things up a little bit as the season's gone along. Whether they change things or whether the players are just kind of understanding what they're supposed to be doing a little bit better. They seem to be getting better in the last part of the season rather than trailing off or getting worse, even though they had some injuries, like being down to their 3rd safety and Milligan missing some games, and Campbell and Sales, just about their whole backfield was missing games from injury, and they still, I mean, some of the younger guys did get exposed a few times, but I think they're a little bit on the upswing.
Okay, this might sound like a ridiculous question. Do you think poor weather favors the Riders or favors the BC Lions? And before you laugh, I mean, Nathan Rourke has a stronger arm than Trevor Harris. Trevor Harris is older, and you know what? He's way younger than us, but you know what happens when you get older, right? And I wouldn't say I wouldn't say his arm is overly strong. So, like, he's accurate. He's still a good passer. He can still put it down the field from time to time. So for that, do you think cooler weather favors the Riders or BC?
I would say it favors Saskatchewan. I think Saskatchewan's had a good running game all season. They've done well with that. They're used to it. They're practicing in it as the weather this week's getting a little colder and colder. And so I would say if it's going to favor anybody, it's probably going to favor Saskatchewan a little bit more. Okay,
so who do you got in this game? You got the Riders or BC?
Well, I mean, the Riders have looked really good against BC in the games they played this year, which makes a person feel confident. But, I was going to say it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season, but Saskatchewan didn't because they They lost that goofy game at the end of the season with those couple of controversial calls and
which doesn't
playing
count.
some of their back. Yeah.
Which doesn't count.
You can kind of disregard that one to an extent. So like with the injury list getting shorter and things like that, I feel pretty good about Saskatchewan. I think it's a good matchup. They seem to not match up well against like Calgary, who they didn't beat at all this year, and they have matched up well against BC. So I would think Saskatchewan would be a safe bet.
It'd be interesting though. Like I know you get the bye, right? And I agree with you. I think the Riders win by like 4. I know you get a bye, and so that helps you health wise. But Riders really haven't played any meaningful football in a month, and it's hard to get. Football. It's hard to get that mentality going. It's like being in a fight, and you've just been sparring, and this guy's been battling round after round, fight after fight to get to fight you now in the championship, and he's ready to go, and you're kind of still like, oh, yeah, ready to go. But before you know it, you're 4 rounds into this thing and he's winning the fight. That's the only concern I'd have as a Rider fan. It's like, are they going to be ready to go hit the ground running? Because you can't afford to start slow in a game like this.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I see it exactly that way. Like, I think the guys that did play, the second string guys that got an opportunity, they have a lot to play for. Even though the team, it doesn't matter if they win or lose. Those dudes are playing for roster spots in the playoffs. They're playing to get signed this year. Again by the Riders to return or maybe get signed by somebody else. So those guys have a lot to play for. And I've never met Trevor Harris. I've never met Willette or any of those guys. But those guys seem like pretty intense competitors to me. Like Trevor Harris, when he gets pulled from a game, he's pissed off.
Yeah.
And Willette, like that guy plays with fire. So I'm sure those guys have just been fuming for the last few weeks, like just, shaking because they can't wait to get into it. So I don't think those guys are going to come in napping. I think there may be, maybe a little bit of timing stuff just because some of those guys haven't gone full speed. But as far as the mental side of things, I think those guys will be ready to go mentally and emotionally.
Well, and this is the other interesting angle. We talk about Bo and Davis Alexander. Nathan Rourke, arguably the face of the league, outstanding Canadian. He'll be the MOP. And then you got Trevor Harris, who has been around long enough to get some pretty impressive stats, accuracy. We've talked about all that. But he really needs to win one as a starting quarterback to be considered an all-timer. That's what a lot of people say. That's what he would say, because I've asked him that before. So there's a lot on the line for number 7. And so I agree with you. He should be ready to go for this. I'd be surprised if he's not, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of guys. You look at some of those guys in the Riders who are maybe getting a little bit close to the end of their career. It's a big game for them. And Trevor Harris would be among that group just because of his age. Like, he's not going to play forever. You want to get that one, or you want to get that last one, or you want to get that one, like you said, when you're the guy, you're the starter, you're not the backup in Toronto or whatever. So I think that, but at the same time, again, I've never met Corey Mace, but just my impression of him is those guys are probably a lot more focused on just the team. What do we need to do to be successful? Not about what does this mean to me, but more like we've gone through a lot together and we've been through a lot and fought through a lot of adversity. And this game means a ton. So let's go get it.
And only the second time ever they've met in a Western final in Regina, BC, and Saskatchewan, and the first time in 20 years that they've met in a Western final, because the other one was in BC, the last one. All right, let's go to the Can West final.
Yeah.
But that's terrible news for the Rams. Our buddy Colin Erickson's son, Marshall, goes down with an Achilles injury, had a surgery this week. That's a huge blow to the Rams because he one of the dynamite players in Can West.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in my mind, he was the MVP of Canada West. I know he didn't win it. Daniel Weeb from the Huskies won it. But when you think of a guy, what does most valuable player mean? Does it mean best player in the league, or does it mean most valuable to his team? Where would the Rams be without Marshall Erickson? They had 3 overtime games between the regular season and last week's playoff game. They played 9 games, 7 of them decided, I think, by one single score. Mm-hmm. And you think of how effective Marshall Erickson was running the ball, scoring touchdowns, set the Rams record for rushing, set the Rams record for touchdowns. Great receiver out of the backfield as well. Got a lot of yards, a lot of first downs, and a couple of touchdowns, 1 or 2 catching out of the backfield. But you know what? The Rams didn't have Marshall Erickson last year when they went up to Saskatoon for the Hardy Cup final either. He was injured. It was Christian Katende. And Christian Katende had a great game. He rushed for over 100 against the Huskies. And of course, the Rams won the Hardy Cup. So that's, talking to both coaches this week and throughout the season, mostly, I talked to the Rams coaches a lot because I broadcast some of their games. Both teams, because the Huskies are missing some key guys too. They're missing their starting quarterback, who a lot of people thought was going to be MVP of Can West. And he's been out since game 6, I think. Hasn't played for a month, and I don't think he'll be back this season. But these coaches, these teams, like, they don't dwell on that. They're not like fans, that said, "Oh no, our best player, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?" Like, what we see as cliches, the next man up and stuff like that, they see as a way of operating, a way of life, a part of their culture. That, okay, well, we lost Marshall Erickson, Huskies. Okay, we lost Anton Ammonrood. All right, Christian Katende, get in there. You do it. Jake Farrell, you get in there. You start passing the ball. Like, that's how they operate. And the coaches believe it, and they preach it, and they remind the players of it. And then the players believe it. It just becomes part of how they operate. So it doesn't rattle them. Obviously they're disappointed. They hate to see their friend and their teammate going down. Like, Marshall's injury was a non-contact injury. He just came out of the backfield, just stuck his foot in the ground to make a little cut going inside on a pass pattern, and went down. It's just a bad luck, terrible thing to happen to an athlete like that. But, they move forward. They're used to it. Both the teams have had players out for different amounts from different reasons, and you just got to keep going.
So it was Ammonrood who played in their matchup in Saskatoon when they hit Weeb late for a touchdown, a deep pass, and that was really the winning score. The Rams secondary in the last game, I had Benson Donaldson on. He said it was kind of uneven. It was up and down. We made some plays. We gave up some big plays. Do you see where that's won and lost? The game's won and lost there, or somewhere else because they've got their backup quarterback in there?
Boy.
Because they got Riker Frank, right? They got Lenny, they got Weed, they've got some talent there, but they've got a talented defense too.
Like Saskatchewan looks like a first place team. I got to do their last regular season game against Manitoba, which really didn't mean anything to either team. The standings were set, the matchups were set for playoffs, but U of S just looked like a first place team. And last week against UBC in the semifinal, it was 1-4, but U of S looked like a first place team. The only thing they weren't doing is they weren't finishing some drives, and they gave up some turnovers, that in the third quarter, especially, they had like turnover. Fortunately for them, BC couldn't capitalize, but, I just thought that game should have been put away way sooner. It kind of reminded me of the week before in the regular season where the Rams were dominating UBC for the first 3 quarters, but they weren't finishing drives enough, and they were letting BC hang around. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 UBC comes out with the win, or comes up with the tie, gets to overtime, and then wins in overtime. But I think a lot of it comes down to defensive play calling. Like, the athletes, the D-line athletes on both sides are great. There's some great athletes in the backfield and in the middle with the linebackers. But it's just making those play calls. I talked to Sheldon Gray, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, about this last week. I said, I just realized the defenses in Can West have been really conservative this year. Like, lots of just 3-man rush, 4-man rush, and dropping 8-9 guys into coverage. And he said, I think it is a lot like that because there's such great athletes, like there's the receivers in the league. You can name, 6-8 guys off the top of your head that are all-star, CFL prospect level athletes. And it's pretty hard to name that type of athlete in the defensive backfield in Can West this year. So the defense coordinators seem to be kind of a little bit more, we don't want to get beat deep. We don't want to, give up the big ones like you mentioned happened to the Rams in the regular season against the Huskies. But then I watched the Huskies game last week against UBC, and their defensive coordinator, Cody Hallseth, like, he's bringing heat. He's blitzing 5, or he's got his 4-man rush. They do a 4-man line. He's sending a linebacker. Okay, now let's send another linebacker. Let's send a linebacker and a halfback. and it was kind of like a pot boiling. Like it started slow, and by the fourth quarter, it was like in the fourth quarter they're just coming from everywhere. And Viotto, the quarterback from UBC, he didn't know where it was coming from. Yeah, he was spending a bunch of time on his butt, and then he's got to get rid of the ball quick, and that makes it easier for the defensive backs when the quarterback can't get set, receivers can't finish their routes. So yeah, like defense is how everything comes together. The pass rush and the coverage totally have to complement each other, but the play calling is also huge. So I'm going to be really interested. I think Cody Halstead with the Huskies, he'll keep being a little bit more on the aggressive side. But I'm really interested after I'm done with you, I'm having a phone call with Sheldon Gray this evening, and I know he's not going to tell me his whole game plan or anything like that, but I'm kind of interested to see if he thinks he needs to turn up the heat a little bit as far as pressure and take a few chances, taking guys out of coverage and sending them after the young quarterback, Jake Farrell.
Are you making a prediction or no? Are you just going to watch?
No, I mean, if I was the Huskies, I'd feel pretty confident. I like I said, they've been clicking, they've been looking really good. The Rams lost their, two of their top 3 offensive weapons in the last couple of weeks. They lost Renzo Laranazza with, again, like kind of a non-contact injury. He had a torn muscle just before he got tackled and had surgery on that. His season's over. And then Marshall Erickson. So, I mean, I think if you're betting, if you're putting money on, and it's up in Saskatoon, of course, U of S is going to be at home in their stadium, their great atmosphere at Griffith Stadium. If I was putting money on it, I'd probably put money on the Huskies just because I like safe investments, but I'm not betting on anybody. I hope it's close to as exciting as what the Rams Bison's game was last weekend that went to overtime and had that dramatic finish. So I can't wait. You and I were both Rams, and I love the Rams. I love being a part of the Rams. My son played for the Huskies for 5 years, and so I appreciate and respect and love the Huskies for everything they gave to my son. So I really have a close connection with both teams, and I just cannot wait. Like I'm just shaking. I've been all week. Like, can it please be Saturday? I want to be up in Saskatoon.
Well, and I'll tell. Are you doing the Canada West broadcast? You're on the broadcast.
Yeah.
You and who's doing? Is it Matt or is it Derek?
Matt Young. Matt Young. So
awesome.
it'd be my 3rd game working with Matt this year. He's a lot of fun, really energetic, I love calling the games. It's just a riot, and I really like so many friends on both sides. Friends that are coaches with the Huskies and with the Rams, and some of the Huskies coaches played with Peyton, and of course the Rams guys I've known forever. Good guys that I've spent a lot of time doing coaching clinics and camps and hanging out with and stuff like that. And I can't wait.
And you do a great job. Anybody that gets a chance to watch, you do a great job because you explain it. You're kind of like a poor man's John Madden, if I can say it. Like, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, and my one John Madden thing from last week when the Rams won from the missed field goal hit the upright. When it hit the upright, I said, "It's a doink."
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Mitchell Blair yelled at the same time, so I don't know if anybody heard that.
No, I did.
Of course, is an old John Madden reference.
Yeah. No, you're kind of a poor man's John Madden. You do it in a way that people can understand it, but you also get it across in football terms too. So I really like that. Okay.
Thanks,
lastly, we got the Johnson Wildcats playing Moose Jaw Central, and we got the Miller Marauders. Is it Bishop Mahoney they're playing? I forget who.
No, Holy Cross.
Holy Cross. That's right. Holy Cross. Sorry. Yeah. So we've got Noah Finkeldey coming up talking about that too on the show.
Oh, good.
But you've been involved coaching at that level and winning provincial championships. What's it like being in a provincial football championship? I've never done it. I've never even coached in it. And I'm not just talking winning, just participating in one of those things.
I always felt a ton of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried not to let my players catch on to that. Like I tried to keep our focus, keep everything, medium, like not get too high, not get too low in our preparation and stuff, but just kind of focused on the goal. But inside, it was always like, I was just like, what else can I do? What else can I do to prepare the guys? What else can I do to watch film and to think about the game I'm going to call as a coach, and when we're going to take chances and when we're not going to take chances and stuff like that. So the lead up is long. It's just like back in the day, playing with the Rams, like waiting for that national championship game was so long. Just like, please, can it be tomorrow so we can just play this game? So there's that. But then once you get to the game, then it just kind of becomes a football game again. And then you're just able to kind of get in the zone, get into the flow of the game, and just take it as it comes. And my first provincial championship was in a 9-a-side championship back in 2006 when I was coaching at Caronport. We played against Foam Lake, and very, very competitive first half. We dropped a touchdown pass. I think we were down by a couple at halftime or something like that, and then they pulled ahead and won by 18, I think, in the second half. So we had a loss that time. My next two, fortunately, we won them both at Campbell. So and the last one was in 2017 was my last one coaching high school football. So that's a pretty sweet memory for me. That game, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Win or lose, it's great memories for people for the rest of their lives. Like that's people, even if they go on to play pros, they remember about high school. That's kind of what they're
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what they remember. Hey, lastly, this is the most. I don't want to end it on a negative note, but this is the part that bothers me kind of too. Why are we playing these CFL games on a Saturday? It absolutely it overshadows what's going on in Quebec and in Ontario and in the Can West and in high school. Maybe that's why the Riders having a tough time selling some tickets, because there'd be football people that would go to the games, but they can't go to the games because you're having them on Saturdays. We get too worried about the NFL. I don't we get too, and I'm guilty of it too sometimes. We get too caught up in comparing ourselves to the NFL. Who gives a shit? Just play it on a Sunday. It was always good on a Sunday before.
Yeah, and I mean, it was the same last week when they had the semifinals on Saturday, and there was the college football playoffs going on too. Yeah, it's just and that goes back to the rule changes too, like making these changes that could have very significant implications to a lot of amateur football organizations and teams and communities in Canada without thinking about them, without talking to them and saying, hey, what do you guys think? How would this affect you? And I'm sure most of the organizations in Canada would go, whoa, like we can't be changing our field. We can't be moving our goalposts. Like that's a big deal. We can't afford to do that. So yeah, I wish that the CFL was a little more concerned about Canadian football. Like you said, the university football, the high school football that traditionally forever Saturday.
Junior, I forgot the Hilltops too, right?
Yeah. Now that one's on Sunday. That one Saturday?
That's on Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday, yeah.
Usually the junior goes on Sunday. But yeah, like I kind of wish that the CFL would, are they really getting that many more viewers and fans in the stadium by going on Saturday than they would on Sunday? I don't know. If the Riders are in the playoffs and there's NFL on, I'm going to watch the Riders on TV. I'm not going to watch Red Zone. I'm not going to watch, whatever. I'm going to watch the Riders. Or if the Bears are on, then I'm going to have two TVs and I'm going to watch them both.
Yeah.
But I'm going to watch Saskatchewan if they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so I don't really love that decision. When did they start that? Was that just last year or a couple of years ago?
Well, they did it a while ago, went away from it, then came back to it. I believe it was last year or a couple of years ago. But like you got this. They're giving away tickets left and right, trying to get trying to get people to come to the games. Well, you could have a crowd of 4,000 or 5,000 that would otherwise maybe go to the Rider game, but Regina fans are in Saskatoon for the game. Saskatoon fans don't drive to Regina because they're playing each other. I mean, you didn't know that at the start of the year, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I just think our game is so great. It's so entertaining at all levels, the high school level, the junior, university, pro, even the amateur, the youth level. It's so much fun to watch. And I just, we talked about this a month or two ago. I just wish we would take pride in what we have as Canadians in our unique sport, our heritage sport, and just support it, whatever that looks like, whether it's buying a jersey or going to a game or watching on TV with a bunch of friends or whatever. And just let it be what it is. Let it be great.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for your time, man. Have a great call.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks a lot, Michael. We'll talk soon.
Athletes aren't built during the season, they're built here in the off season, where real progress happens. At the Den Sports Performance and Agility Center, they don't just train, they develop. For athletes ages 13 to 17, they offer team packages and individual group training with up to 5 weekly sessions of your choice of dryland or strength-focused work. Every program blends strength, agility, balance, mobility, speed, and recovery with a focus on durability that most programs overlook. Because showing up on game day means staying strong all season. Every session is coached by a certified speed and strength specialist and focused on long-term athletic success, not quick fixes. Flexible programming, real results. The Den Sports Performance and Agility Center is where serious athletes level up. Book your spot now at thedenyqr.ca. Noah Finkeldey, you still number one?
Yep.
Is that your number one?
Yeah.
Was that always your favorite number? Or
yeah.
Why number one? Why number one? Why is it your favorite number?
Cam Newton was one of my favorite players when he was real good. So then I picked that number in Mighty Mites and just has still been number one since then.
Your dad didn't pollute your mind with the 49ers, or are you a 49ers guy now?
49ers guy, but he really liked Cam Newton, and then I did too, so then we just picked number one. And yeah.
Okay, so what are you, Christian McCaffrey guy or what?
Fred Warner or Malik Mustafa type of guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were a running back and a linebacker. Now you're a DB and a receiver. Do you like that combo better than the first combo?
Yeah, for sure. Our receivers more make a lot of big plays, and then safety just I have more flow around the entire field, kind of do my own stuff. So I have lots of I get to go move around a lot more as a safety.
Be like a chess piece. Do you like offense better than defense?
Ooh, I like both. I think I prefer defense just because I get to hit more instead of being hit, so it's better off like that.
Hammer instead of the nail,
yeah,
hey?
Exactly.
That's the way it goes. So have you thought about, before we get into the game against Holy Cross, have you thought about what you're doing next year? Have you decided what school you're going to go to? Who's offered you so far?
I still am debating on what school I want to go to. So probably after season, I'll sign somewhere within a week or two. Still debating though. I don't really know what I want to do yet.
Have a lot I know the Rams reached out to you. I've been following your dad on social media, but anybody else, have you talked to any other schools?
I've been talking to a few, and I'm going on a visit next week to U of A.
Oh, nice. Yeah, U of A is always a good spot to go to for sure. So if you get recruited, what are you getting recruited as? An athlete, or are you going receiver, DB? What would you prefer to do?
I think they would go
next level.
I would go as DB for sure. Really depends what spot they need for sure, but I think mainly DB.
DB. So the Miller Marauders used to be in around a championship. You, I think the last one you said you won was what, grade 10? Was that right?
Yeah.
Am I correct when I said that?
Correct.
Yeah. So grade 12, you get a chance. How meaningful is this run for you, being that it's your last year of high school? Hard to believe it's your last year of high school too, right?
It's pretty meaningful just because last year we lost and we were expecting to just win. So now this year it's also my senior year and I missed a game. So it's pretty meaningful just so I can win one last time as a grade 12.
Yeah. Can you tell me what that's all about? Because you had a big, your hand was all wrapped up. I was trying to get to the bottom of that. What can you tell me what happened, or you don't want to tell me what happened?
I was e-biking and I hit someone and then I flew over and fractured my scaphoid.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
My son's done that twice. That hurts. Oh,
yeah,
e-bike. Where were you e-biking?
Right by Jack McKenzie.
And you ended up just being clumsy and hitting somebody, or what?
Yeah, I looked over and then my friend was stopped on his e-bike, so I T-boned him and I flew off of my bike.
Did your dad and mom give you shit for that, or what?
Yeah. Mainly my dad. Yeah.
I kind of thought you'd get some flack over that.
Yeah.
So tell us about the city championship game.
It was pretty tough. We knew it was going to be tough going into the game, but it was pretty close, and I was thinking it could have gone to overtime just like it was in grade 10 when we went to triple overtime. So I was like, oh, better not. But it was a real tough game. They came really prepared. They knew what we were going to do. but we also did too, and it was just pretty physical game, and it was just a lot of mistakes we had to work on for sure that have happened to us before. So we should hopefully not carry that into the provincial final now. But other than that, it's great.
That Riffle quarterback's pretty athletic, isn't he?
Yeah,
like
he's
never
slippery.
He's never. Yeah, he's slippery. Hey, what's it like? Like back when your dad and I went to high school? It was like you played for this team and you didn't like those guys, but then now with all these like U18, U16, SAS selects football, you kind of you might go to a different high school, but you play with these guys, so you kind of become friends. Do you find it that way?
Yeah, I do find it that way for sure. It's just like when you're playing against each other, it's way different just because like it's your school now, so it's like you can be friends with them after, but not during the game. But I don't think I've played with any of their Riffle guys for Team Sask before, so.
Okay, so you still have a bit of that rivalry going there. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
the game is in Saskatoon. This provincial game's in Saskatoon against Holy Cross. What do you know? Do you know much about them? Where are their strengths?
Their strengths definitely linebackers and D line. Their running back's pretty good. They have two pretty good receivers, not like elite, but they're pretty good. Just good enough to fill in a spot, and it's going to be pretty windy, I think, so it's going to be hard to throw the ball. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. They got banged up though last week against St. Joe's, so yeah, they're missing a few.
So what's better, a deep bomb touchdown or a pick six? What's better?
Ooh, it really depends on the scenario, but pick six, I'd say if it's like pretty close in the game, especially close in the game, because then like it's a real big turning point for you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd have to say pick six because that doesn't happen often. That's like you can get a pick, but it's pretty hard to go all the way back just because they're all sitting back there. So.
Yeah, 100%. What do you want to do football-wise? Do you eventually want to have a chance maybe to play professional football? Is that something you'd like to do down the line?
Yeah, for sure. It's
the
thing I'd like to do.
Been a goal of yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, is policing in your cards? Because that's big in your family. Is that something like criminal studies in university to get into policing or what?
Yep, that's up there for sure.
Gee, I wonder why that is, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, hey, man, best of luck against Holy Cross. I'll be watching for number one, and let's have the Miller Marauders bring a title back to Regina again, okay?
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Take care, man.
You as well.